So, BB, I'm going to answer your question by talking about the Willow Project first. Now, you probably remember the Willow Project, the big oil project up in Alaska. You probably remember that. And if you remember, the climate groups, they were all trying to get it shut down. And what Joe Biden ultimately did was to come to an agreement with them to reduce the scope and size of the Willow Project. And all of the climate groups, a lot of people were upset about that, but all of the climate groups got to claim victory, right? They got to claim a victory. So here's the question I have for you. Do you think Joe Biden's decision to reduce the size and scope of the Willow Project had a material impact or materially changed the climate in any way whatsoever? Is drilling a few less wells in Alaska going to have a material impact or change on the climate? It's not. It's not at all. That's not a thing. So BB here asked me if I was intimating that something was a bad thing and, Joe Biden was making everyone happy. That's in response to a video that I made a few days ago where Joe Biden made a pro-fossil fuel announcement and an anti-fossil fuel announcement on the exact same day. And I made the video because he has a long history of doing this. Anytime he does anything that's pro-fossil fuel, literally the same day, like an hour later, he'll do something that's anti-fossil fuel to make the climate groups happy, right? And I stated in the video that I wasn't opposed to those two things he had done that day. I was just talking about how that's how he operates. Every time he does something pro-fossil fuel, he has to do something anti-fossil fuel. But the part of your comment that piqued my interest where you said he makes everyone happy. No, he's not making everyone happy. That's not how all of this is working. And that's why I'm responding to your video. So there are two very large and powerful lobbying groups in this country. Well, there's a lot more than two, but I'm just talking about a certain two. I'm talking about the fossil fuel lobby, and I'm talking about the climate lobby. And the job of the people in the fossil fuel lobby is the exact same job as the people in the climate lobby. Their job is to put as much money as they can inside their pocket. That's their job. Yeah. That's it. That's all they do. Extract as much money from those who they represent so they can take that money and put it inside their pocket. A lot of people don't understand that the climate lobby is probably actually bigger at this point than the fossil fuel lobby. The climate lobby is $1 billion industry. I'm not talking about the climate industry. I'm not talking about the renewable energy industry. I'm talking about the climate lobby. It's its whole industry within itself. And so is the fossil fuel lobby. And what I'm saying is a ton of the decisions that have been brought forth and made, policy decisions made by the Biden administration, was lobby-driven decisions. He has made a ton of decisions based on influence from the climate lobby, and he's made a ton of decisions based on influence from the fossil fuel lobby. The only thing the people need that work for the climate lobby is they need a decision so they can get a headline so they can put that money in their pocket. They need to be able to claim victory on something. They need to be able to take a win, claim a victory. It doesn't matter if the decision materially impacts anything at all. It makes no difference. And since Joe Biden is a Democrat and the fossil fuel lobby doesn't like Democrats, the thing they want is to be a victim of the Biden administration and claim they're being victimized by the Biden administration so they can put money in their pocket and have their own headline that says the Biden administration's killing us. And if you look at any of the policy decisions, anything done either through an agency or through executive order, if you look at anything that Joe Biden has done that is considered anti-fossil fuel, not a single one of those things has any kind of material impact on the fossil fuel industry whatsoever. What was another big win that the climate lobby got under the Biden administration? ANWR was closed down. Yeah, ANWR was done away with. and the climate lobby cheered their victory. But what materially changed? Did that have any positive impact on the climate? There's been one well drilled in Anwar in the whole history of the world, and not a single oil company on the planet wants anything to do with Anwar. Is that really a climate victory? Or is it just an empty headline? You see what I'm saying? The 6-month permitting pause on federal lands for drilling. Is that a headline? Is that a victory that's on a headline? Does it materially change anything? Does it materially impact the industry in any way whatsoever? No. No, it doesn't materially change anything. So when you are looking at these policy decisions and these things that have been pushed by the Biden administration, you have to look at them through a lens of truthness and just being realistic about them. Are they something that's going to materially impact or change anything? Or is this a headline? Is this just a headline that puts some money in some lobbyist pocket? And that's what I look for when I look at these decisions. I look at what materially changes. I look at the substance. What is substantive about it? What does it actually do? Does it actually do anything? So let's look at the EV mandate. That's going to have a material and substantive change. It's not going to be the change that people think it's going to be. It's not going to be the change that Joe Biden thinks it's going to be. Or maybe Joe Biden doesn't think it's going to change, and it doesn't matter because Joe Biden's not going to be here when that goes into effect. He probably won't even be alive. So one of two things is going to happen with that policy decision. It's either going to bankrupt the auto industry, or it's going to get overturned in court. That's one of the two things that's going to happen from that policy. And my sense is that Joe Biden knows that and understands that. But he also knows and understands that all of that is going to occur well after he's gone. Well after he's gone. And I realize that I probably haven't answered your question and I've been going off on a rant. So question, am I intimating it's a bad thing? Those two decisions he made, no, I'm not intimating that those particular decisions was a bad thing. Am I intimating that when a lot of your policy decisions are driven due to influence by lobbying groups, whether it's fossil fuel or the climate lobby, and also driven by the need to get headlines in an election year, when you're actually making policy decisions to garner headlines, that is a bad thing to me. It is. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think that's a bad thing. The reason we don't see substantive change in this country is because of stuff like this that I'm talking about right now. Empty policy. Empty policy that is designed to help, lobbying groups and put money in their pocket and designed to get headlines to help your poll numbers, but they don't create any substantive change in our personal lives or our world in any way. That's the reason nothing great or good changes in this country anymore. And that is not an anti-Biden statement. That is an anti-U.S. politics statement. That is an anti-every politician I know statement. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks.